Hello, hello. So I am here for the daily market close. It is 4:51 p.m. Monday, October 24th. Going to go over the economic calendar and the price action for the day. It's going to be short and sweet as we had primarily ranging day. But important to note here, we had some PMI data across the board in the Eurozone coming out terrible, below forecast, and worse than previous. The UK, same thing, terrible data, worse than forecast and worse than previous. And finally, the US, also worse than forecast, worse than previous. Now, bad data, terrible data across the board, showing the effects of the global recession is hitting all economies across the world here. But as we could see, stock markets all closed in the green, US dollar closed in the red. Well, this kind of goes in line with what the fundamental bias is right now, for the macro sentiment of aggressive rate hikes needed by the Federal Reserve and the central banks of the world to combat inflation. Now, the market is pricing bad data as positive for the stock markets and risk assets, because if we're entering recessionary phases of the economy, if the PMI is this crap across the board, well then the central bank can't be as aggressive to raise rates. So this is actually an instance where bad news in this case is actually good news for the stock market, because the Fed can't be as aggressive. So we saw that across the board here as stocks had a relief rally. So you could see that on S&P 500, we continued in this bullish pullback phase. However, we did close back still below key level 3,800 here. So we printed these lows, entered this pullback phase, and even with the recent break, retest continuation, we failed to break this high, showing signs of weakness. So as long as we stay below this level here, we could reject, potentially range, as we are being squeezed between some bullish structure and some bearish structure here. So in order to continue the sentiment, we need to see some breaks above these highs to see a potential further pullback to retest the potential next sell side zone here, 3880, 3900 area, before potentially getting the reversal. So far you see just flat pretty much within a range here on S&P. VIX also had the spike, but then that faded out here. So just low volume, low volatility across the board here. US dollar did not move at all, as we're still within this cluster of orders right here near the low of this overall range here. So we're near the lows. This is still bullish for the US dollar, as even after this aggressive sell-off, we're maintaining above some bullish structure here, 111.70. But nothing really to report, as we just had a low volume day here. And on GU, had a setup based on my system here, as we have 4-hour break of structure here. So we're bullish on the 4-hour, as we're maintaining above this previous structure level, and then we even printed a new higher high, rejecting the highs and the sell side liquidity zone, but then retesting some 1-hour structure here. So this is technically bullish on the 4-hour time frame. However, it is quite choppy, right? It is quite choppy. So technically, based on the system, we are in a 4-hour bullish territory. If we zoom into the 1-hour, we have this bullish structure here from this break, retest, new higher high, and coming down. In the New York session, we were rejecting this zone here, but failed to create any significant up move, as that just got faded out. and we ended up closing pretty much flat on the day here on GU. But we did get that set up. Now here I want to differentiate something for my system. My system identifies bullish structure, 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, higher time frame. Now, something that's hard to quantify in a system, but intuitively you kind of know just by seeing, by putting all the information together with investor sentiment, the U.S. dollar strength, market timing and market phases, and all of and basically price action itself as well, showing that this setup, even though it was valid for break and retest to continue, there was a lot of signs of exhaustion. There was a lot of signs of low volume, low volatility here, and a potential for just this ranging or even a deeper pullback to retest these key levels, this better buy levels before getting the continuation move, or even fading that out for some sells here. So this break and retest, especially after retesting daily break of structure on the bearish side. So the higher time frame is bearish, right? So knowing that, yeah, the 4 hour is bullish. Yeah, we just had a 1 hour break of structure. Yeah, we have some confluence of the 1 hour and 4 hour in bullish territory. But we are bearish on the higher time frames. We are rejecting the sell side liquidity on the higher time frames. We are also losing momentum as we created a lower high on the 1 hour. So technically, if I want to trade a break and retest of 1 hour structure here, it better be coming from a new 1 hour higher high. In this case, the retest here is coming from a 1 hour lower high, and we see a lot of choppiness here as well, showing some signs of weakness and low volume and volatility. So all these things together should be enough to tell you that this is not the best market conditions to be looking for a trade. Now, the first break and retest comes from a new 1 hour higher high, as we printed this impulsive high, higher low, new higher high, and then the first retest of this 1 hour structure level worked out for a nice bounce. But now the second retest, no longer coming from a higher high, coming from a lower high, failed. So that's an important distinction here. If I'm playing a 1 hour break and retest, well, are we coming from a higher high? Yes, here. Perfect. Now, the next retest during the New York session, are we coming from a higher high? No. Are we rejecting and losing momentum? Yeah. Is there sign of buyer strength and seller weakness? No. So here, this is a giant no trade zone here, right? So for me, this is a valid trade setup based on my system, but not high probability for those reasons. So that's basically it. That's basically it. A losing trade signal based on the system, but this can be easily overridden by these intuitive factors as mentioned. So basically, the same trade ideas stand as the previous market update this morning, but noting that we are within range on the investor sentiment here on the U.S. dollar and the equities. So this is showing some indecision on GU here. We'll see overnight if we get any new fundamental information, if we get any new buyer or seller strength, some new structure to play off of. But so far, it is just messy. And the U.S. dollar, no, not the U.S. dollar, the gold chart is even worse. We have I'm literally like sitting right in the same area as we were this morning. So just terrible conditions. Nothing really to report. I'm not going to ramble on. But I'll come back tomorrow morning, and hopefully we have some cleaner conditions to trade.